This episode of Blood Money is brought to you by Fresh Farms.
Welcome to Blood Money. Today I have Stan Hyt here, who is running for sheriff of Clark County, the largest county in Las Vegas. Stan, tell us why it's so important to have you as a sheriff in Clark County and you as an example for sheriffs around the country.
A sheriff can protect your constitutional rights, or they can go along with big money. They can go along with different agendas that are related to, special interests. For me, I saw that happening after the last election. The special interests were having their way with the police departments in many countries, and it was starting to happen here. School board telling parents that they're domestic terrorists because they're talking about the curriculum of their kids, they're concerned about their curriculums. And I see the county commission voting to not allow us to speak negatively about the vaccine, saying that it's called dangerous speech. And I'm seeing police being used in other countries to enforce things like the mandates, basically taking away the rights of our community members. As a retired police officer working for Metro for over 30 years, I decided I want to get in this race and try to stop that from happening. Under my administration, we're not going to use the police to close down churches. We're not going to use the police to shut down businesses that they call non-essential. And we're definitely not going to come for your guns.
So you're retired, 13 years.
Yes, I've been retired 13 years, yeah.
All these things going wrong compelled you to come out of your retirement.
Yes, basically, I became afraid of our government. I can see an infiltration of people that want to reduce our freedoms, want to take control, people that want to run us rather than protect us. The Constitution has designed our government so that it protects its citizens, but it's evolved into a government now that wants to run our lives. I've gone to commission meetings, I've gone to school board meetings, and I've listened to parents argue against things literally 100 to 1 for a certain position. They've shown science, they've shown the evidence that kids don't need the mask in school. COVID was not harmful to kids. Basically, COVID is a cold, and it affected people that had comorbidities, and it affected the elderly. So parents were going to school trying to get the mask off their kids. School board was hearing 100 to 1 in favor of that and saying, no, that we're going to continue to voting in the way we feel that you deserve. And it's like, that's a scary thought to me that we elect these representatives to represent us and they don't represent us. Basically, I became afraid of our government, and I wanted to at least be in a position to protect our community, because the sheriff is a very powerful position. It's a position that's not governed by the governor or the federal government. The police sheriff can recognize some of the harms that illegal mandates are creating and say, you know what, we're not going to enforce those. I'm not going to allow our police to be used for these purposes. And the sheriff can stand up to the governor and say, nope, that's not happening. The governor can go want to close a business. He can say, I want to close this business because they don't have enough masks, or they don't have plastic, or they're not vaccinated. In Canada, you can't go into restaurants without having a vaccination passport, and they're trying to do that here. And so, no, we're not going to allow the police to be used for that. And that's why I'm running for sheriff.
If you're in power and if you win the seat, the governor is trying to force you to do something that you're not very happy doing.
He can't do that. The police department's in position to enforce the Nevada revised statutes. Those are legal laws that are legislated. That's what my purpose and function would be, to enforce laws, not mandates. So the governor or the federal government can come in, OSHA can come in, say we're going to close these businesses for this because of this rule, this thing that they enacted themselves. I mean, I'll look at it, and of course, and objectively as I can. But if it's something that it's obviously hurting the community, I can stand up and resist that.
What if they threaten your funding?
I don't see how they can do that. They can reduce it, but that's something I would bring to the media. I would bring to the community and let them know what's going on. I would be very vocal about it. I don't think they have the power to legislate my budget. Basically, I'm just a freedom of choice. I believe freedom of choice. That's what the Constitution stands for. We have the Bill of Rights, which gives us inalienable rights, which should not be infringed upon by our government. And I think I have a good argument there.
What do you think was really happening with COVID? Do you think there was a hidden agenda, or was this just a kind of a comedy of errors?
I totally believe there's a hidden agenda. It's a profit-oriented thing that it's worldwide. It's not just here in the United States. I don't know how they got so entrenched, but they did. Like I said, they've infiltrated our government at all levels. The big pharma, the media, the George Soroses of the world, the Bill Gates, the Zuckerbergs. It's a group of people that basically feel they know how to run the country. Bill Gates is on record saying we have too many people in this world, we need to reduce the population. That vaccine has done that, and it will continue to do that. We're going to lose a large number of people. I mean, statistics are already showing that we have a higher number of deaths due to the vaccine. The countries that are vaccinated are dying at much greater rates than countries that have not adopted the vaccine whatsoever.
And these are real statistics. I mean, this is not conspiracy theories.
No, these are actual numbers, and they're coming out now. I mean, you could see it for a long time if you are paying attention. But most of the society is just trying to get by. They're just trying to feed their families. They're going to their jobs. Some work 2, 3 jobs. They don't have time to listen to this stuff. They don't get on social media and hear the doctors that are trying to get the word out through the non-typical media outlets. 95% of the media is owned by the same few people. And those people have the agenda. And that agenda is not necessarily community driven. It's profit driven. It's power driven. We need to be aware of it, and we're just not. We're waking up to it slowly. People are recognizing it, but like I said, they're busy. They're just trying to raise their kids. And so they're not paying attention. And that's where people that have some experience in life, like myself, that are retired, that have time to actually research and look at this stuff. Since I started running for sheriff, I've been getting bombarded with videos from doctors all over telling us the dangers of the shot, especially with kids. I mean, the increased rates of myocarditis, heart attack, blood clots, lung disease, just from that vaccine. People dying within 2-3 days of taking the vaccine that were normally healthy. Athletes that require endurance, like soccer players that are running constantly, they're falling over dead, literally falling over dead, but they're not allowing it to be broadcast on the local news. They're not allowing it to be broadcast on any of the 95% media outlets that are controlled by, say, the Zuckerbergs and the Soroses that own all this stuff. You say something about Soros, you're terminated. You're gone. You know, you could be a very big name and you're still gone. You're not allowed. And that's suppression. That's unconstitutional. That's not what the news is all about. News is supposed to get both points of view out. We're supposed to have debate, and we don't. If you talk negatively about the shot in Clark County, it's considered dangerous speech. The county commission voted that way, 5-2. That's here in Clark County. I'm not talking about communist China. I'm talking about here in Clark County. Our county commission voted 5-2 to make speech about the vaccine considered as dangerous speech. And I just find that reprehensible. I just find that unconstitutional.
I mean, are those 5 people in the pockets of those kind of individuals like Soros or Bill Gates or Zuckerberg, or are they operating out of fear?
I do not believe they're operating out of fear. That's as far as I can go with that, because I don't know whose pockets they're operating out of. But I do believe there's an agenda, and I believe that they're operating under that agenda, just like the hospitals. The hospitals being paid big incentives to diagnose COVID, to intubate for either 72 hours or 92 hours. They're being paid incentives along the way. They're being paid additional money when the patient dies of COVID, and they list it on the death certificate as COVID, whether they died of COVID or not. I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy to do that, but I'm saying that there's incentives to do it. So if a hospital's struggling financially, the incentive is to say they died of COVID if they didn't. The incentive is to fudge the numbers, let's put it that way. The incentive is to keep somebody on, to intubate somebody, and then to keep them there for a certain time period. Those are incentives. People are human. They're going to be tainted. They're going to be tainted. It's not hard to be corrupted by money. We see it every day. It shouldn't be. Those incentives, those tantalizing things to do that should not be present to allow people to be diagnosed with COVID and intubated and then let them just die, which I've seen happening, not just here, but all over the world.
What got us to a point of desperation where hospitals are essentially slaves to this extra income that's coming in, as opposed to government just doing its job right?
I think, like I said, our government's been infiltrated at all levels, and the money is the big thing. Everybody's controlled by it. I mean, you see some doctors that'll sit there and swear by the vaccine, but yet doctors all over the world that study this, that are virologists, showing we don't even know what's in it. And how can it be good for you when they won't tell you what's in it? You subpoena them to find out what's in the vaccines. You get 5-page report, and it's all redacted. And they have government, which is totally immunize these people from legal responsibility. They give them immunity from prosecution if people die from the vaccine. And then you've got the media suppressing everything that is said negatively. Say you watch Fox News. Every other commercial is about some medicine for some ailment, and they go on for half the commercial telling you all the negativity about it. But please, see your doctor and buy our product. But then you got hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. They have no negative side effects. They've been in existence for 60 years. They've been used for respiratory illnesses and malaria and many things, but yet you cannot talk about it. You cannot bring it on the news. You can't even discuss it. It is absolutely forbidden. But yet all these other things that'll kill you, absolutely on a commercial every day. You see them 10 times a day on commercials. Those are fine. But why would there be an agenda against ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine? It just doesn't make sense. The reason is, in my opinion, is because if there's a first line treatment for COVID, then they can't force the vaccines on people. So they have to say Those things are no good. When they are proven good, they suppress that in the news. People don't hear about it and they get scared because, hundreds of thousands of people are dying of COVID. When in actuality, in 2020 and 2021, no more people died statistically than previous years. It was the same number. They just listed it all as COVID rather than the flu, rather than heart attack, rather than lung disease. They listed it as COVID. So now people are terrified of COVID. They're literally afraid for their lives. They won't come out of their homes. They won't, the 2 and 3 masks on their face, which is actually causing them more harm. All this terror in the home is caused that agenda. And then they tell you negative things about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, so you won't use it. So you'll go get the vaccine. And so you'll go to the hospital and get intubated. Now the numbers are going up. You look at Israel, the highest vaccine country in the world is the sickest country in the world. And the lowest vaccine countries in the world completely eliminated COVID. There is no COVID in those countries. That should tell somebody something. That should be broadcasted. Wait a minute. Maybe we shouldn't be using these vaccines. They're not helping. They're only spreading the disease and killing people.
I mean, we're talking about potentially tens of millions, 100 millions of deaths or ailments coming from this.
Yes, because this permanently alters your DNA. This permanently alters it. And so it's not something that if you get a crippling effect from it, you're not going to heal from it. It's something that's permanent. People have actually lost limbs, legs, and arms. I mean, there's so much evidence out there against this thing. And I'm running for sheriff. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to sway people to get it or not get it. I mean, everything I've said is my own personal opinion and what I've gained from research, what people have given to me. So all I'm arguing is freedom of choice. That's my main argument as a sheriff, that we do not force people to take this vaccine. I have given you statements on my opinion about why I won't take it. I would never take it. I would never push it on my family. So as sheriff, my argument is freedom of choice. Do not force the public to do something that they don't want to do. When you take that vaccine, you actually have to sign a waiver that says, I'm doing this voluntarily. They're really not doing it voluntarily because if they don't get the vaccine, they don't get to work.
The potential damage from this vaccine makes like Hitler and Stalin look like the minor leagues. What happens to the criminals that made this possible?
I believe they should be prosecuted. Investigated and prosecuted if found culpable. It's absolutely, like you said, it's such a large scale fraud to the public, in my opinion. It's not just taking somebody's money or property. We're killing people. We are killing people with this vaccine. And it's not saving people. What's the upside? It's certainly not stopping the spread of COVID. If you look at the statistics, you show countries with it are spreading COVID worse. And new variants are coming out every day from the vaccine. So there's no positive side. Doesn't stop you from getting it, doesn't stop you from spreading it. So why are we forcing it on people? Why are we telling people that if you don't get the shot, you can't go in this restaurant and eat? You can't go to this football game. You can't work for the federal government. You can't be in the military. You can't join the police department.
I know sheriff is more local, but this is more of an international question. But I just wonder, what are the things that law enforcement could do on a global level, on a regional level, for people that were part of perpetrating this fraud onto the American people and the world?
Needs to be investigated. There's a lot of evidence out there. So we need to hold people accountable. Just like in Germany, Nuremberg trials, people were saying we were killing Jews because I was given orders to do it. Didn't protect them. They were prosecuted. They were tried and prosecuted. And that's what needs to be done here because it's being done with an intent. And I know that these doctors know what's going on. The health workers know. The health workers aren't taking that vaccine because they see their patients dropping. They see the side effects and the injuries that are coming from these vaccines. So when you try to force it on a healthcare worker who sees this, they'd rather lose their job. And they don't want to lose their job. These are people that love to help people they serve. These are health workers that have given their life to the service of community to get people well. And they're being driven out of their jobs by their co-workers that support the vaccine or the money behind giving the vaccine. It breaks my heart when I see somebody escorted out of their job, their position, from their office because they won't take the vaccine by a co-worker who has no heart for that person's perspective, or that person's position. And it just breaks my heart. That person's now out of a job and they feel dirty. They feel guilty of something when all they're doing is making their choice, their freedom of choice decision. Like I said, it breaks my heart that these people are losing their jobs. Our military has been devastated because of this. Pilots are getting dizzy in the air after having taken the shot. How safe is that?
How does a good man like you go into a system where you potentially have countless individuals that are bought and sold, that have been part of this agenda, and you're now in there trying to change the culture of what's been going on? Are you at this point investigating the agenda of all these individuals and arresting all these people?
Well, Vem, I'm just a citizen right now. There's nothing I can do right now. I am just a citizen. I can raise my voice. That's all I can do until somebody shuts me up.
But let's say you get elected.
If I get elected, first off, my campaign is Christian focused. And I say that not to impose my Christianity on anyone, but to let people know that my faith in Christ is what's going to guide my decision making and my integrity. I believe God will give me wisdom because I pray for it every day. He will give me wisdom. He'll give me direction. He'll give me guidance on the course I should take, the path I should walk. That path is going to be righteousness. It's going to be for our freedoms, for our civil liberties. It's not as grandiose as being president of the United States or a world leader. I can fight for our county, Clark County. It's a large county, thank goodness. It's 8,500 square miles big. It's 2.3 million people. The police force is the largest in the state, approximately 5,000 employees. So it's a large number that we can have an effect on, my administration as a whole. I can protect the people here. And if my voice is loud enough, we can collaborate with other sheriffs in other counties and protect the state. And if our voice in the state is large enough, we can affect other states and hopefully bring about protection for the people in our community. And that's my whole reason for running. I think the other two candidates I'm running against can run the sheriff's department. They can run the sheriff's department. They're capable men. I have no complaint against the two men. I just believe that they will serve special interests more than I would. The money that they are taking in their campaigns is not free. My campaign is mostly self-funded. I am getting some small donations, but my $20,000 worth of donations that I've received doesn't even compare to the $1.3 million and the $1.5 million that Kevin McMahill got dumped on the first day of his campaign. So that money's not free. And as much as I like Kevin and as much as I like Tom, I trust my politics, my agenda more. I believe in what I believe in, and I want to take care of our community. It will not be special interest driven. It'll be constitutionally driven. The Constitution deserves representation. We, the people, it's about time the guy on the street deserves representation, not just the big hotels, not just the big organizations, like CNN or Fox News or any of these large organizations that are well funded. We need to stand up for the little guy on the street, which is me, which is my wife, which is you, Vem, which is our kids, because we're losing it. What did Ronald Reagan say? Our freedoms are one generation away from extinction, and they're not something that we inherit from generation to generation. It's something that we have to fight for each generation. We haven't really had to fight for it because it's just come naturally, but now we have to fight for it because it is under attack. Our freedoms are under attack. And those countries that have lost their freedoms have never seen it again. That's scary to me. That is very scary.
Again, though, you're going into a Lions Den. To paint a picture, it's like a Christian in the Coliseum going into a Lions Den. How do you...
You know what? The lions are the ones that need to be afraid, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And what's in me is larger than what's in the world. Christ is in me. His agenda is in me. I fear for those that don't have Christ, that have the agenda that's on the other side. And those are the people that need to be afraid, not me. God will stand up for what's right. He'll put me in the position of sheriff if that's what he wants. And if he doesn't want me in sheriff, I am fine with it, because I want God's will. I want Christ's will in my life. And I want it in my administration as sheriff.
As sheriff, do you have the power to investigate individuals?
I do.
Okay. I've done a lot of research on laws, and some of what we're talking about would qualify as the U.S. Code for treason.
I agree.
Let's say there's a certain newspaper that's putting out a false agenda, and now at the same time, we're a few months forward, so the evidence starts to solidify in terms of the damage of COVID. But this newspaper and their agenda is continuing to put out this false information, and now there's a direct link between that false information and people being harmed, suffering because of this vaccine. What could you do in that kind of a situation?
I will surround myself with people much smarter than me that will investigate. Newspapers have a right to print what they want, as long as it's not something that does lead to harm in the community, like death and destruction, treason, stuff like that. That said, the people that are legislating, they're the ones that we need to focus on. They're the ones that are focused on forcing people to do something against their will to maintain their livelihoods. Those are the people that are corrupt. Those are the people that have an agenda that we need to address. The legislators, the police, the government, that's where our focus should be. And if they're treasonous and if they're violating laws and they're killing people, they need to be held accountable. And that brings up another point, that we need to get a district attorney that will follow up on this type of stuff. We don't need another agenda-driven district attorney. And I'm not going to be specific, but I see it all over the country. DAs that are agenda-driven. And we need a good DA in Clark County that will take our submittals and prosecute them and not just let these guys out the back door.
You spend all this time investigating something, handing it to a DA, and they could just like kill it basically right then and there.
I'm just begging for a good DA that will follow up and run so we can count on that will be constitutionalists and actually follow through. So much of our statistics are manipulated in the police department. So much of the numbers are just totally manipulated to the point where people are just being released out the back door and nothing's being said. We have convicted murderers that are out on bracelet things because of different agendas. And it's just like, I don't get it. I don't get why we're allowing this in our county. Why is this happening? We're a sanctuary city in Clark County here, contrary to what's being told to us. But it's actually even documented that we are a sanctuary city. The illegals that are coming in contact with the police through law violations are being let out the back door. They don't even want to deal with it. Now, what kind of police department is protecting its community? How do you call that protecting your community?
What do you do if you have a bad DA? Is there anything you could do, or is that just something that you gotta...
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I just hope we don't have to deal with that.
Let's talk a little bit about your campaign, because you're going against some people that have a lot of money. Your campaign seems to be a little bit more grassroots.
It's a lot more grassroots.
A lot more. How's it going?
It's going well, actually. Churches, they like my agenda. They like my message. The Republican Party has accepted my message. I'm constantly meeting with different Republican groups, Democratic groups, independent groups, libertarian groups. I'm just trying to get my name out there because the race for sheriff is nonpartisan. We're out there to protect the entire community. And we have a very diverse county. We have Hispanics, Latinos, we have Black, we have white, we have Filipino, Chinese, and we have Native Americans. So there's a lot of people in our community whose concerns need to be addressed. Not just one agenda, not just a liberal agenda, not just a conservative agenda, not just an independent agenda. All agendas need to be addressed. All religious facets need to be protected. Clark County is, like I said, a very diverse community, and we need to reach everybody, and that's what I'm trying to do.
I was listening to your interview on veterans and politics, and the topic of October 1st came out. Steve Sanson definitely had some very strong opinions on what happened there, and I understand you weren't in the force at the time, but do you have any thoughts on what happened?
Well, my personal opinion, and it's an opinion, is that there was more than one shooter, and I do not believe it was Paddock. I believe Paddock was killed before the shooting took place, and I think he was used as a patsy. I think it was a gun-driven agenda, possibly, because he had just hundreds of guns in his room. I think he was lured there. I think he was killed, and I think people were used to complete this gun agenda. We have a very large radical faction that wants to remove our Second Amendment rights. They want to take away our gun rights, and even our current president has said that he believes a foreign body should be in control of our gun rights. A foreign body, not the United States, but a body consisting of European leaders should be in control of America's gun rights. And you know where that leads? That leads to taking away our guns, obviously. And I think this was possibly a gun-driven agenda to show that guns are bad. Tried to say that this Paddock guy was a Trump supporter and it's a conservative mass murderer that did it. When in fact, if they got their facts right, the people that were attacked were basically conservative audience. They were the ones that were killed. 59 people that were killed were basically constitutionalist, conservative type individuals that love Trump, love our country, love our conservative values, love our America, the flag, and they're the ones that died. So this was definitely not what was initially portrayed as a crazy Trump supporter killing people. This is, in my opinion, a gun-driven agenda.
Not to mention, I mean, the thing that's most scary to me, and to be honest with you, I was at one point very liberal on this topic, wasn't crazy about guns at all. The place where it's definitely convinced me is what's happening in Australia and Canada in terms of the mandates and this idea that Trudeau has been able to force everyone to get a vaccine. Yes. That just to me seems very tyrannical, and I think it's because we've had the Second Amendment rights here that they haven't gone that far, even though they've tried to put all the peer pressure.
That's what I think October 1st was about, trying to convince people we don't need guns in our country. Look at Australia. Australia was a country very similar to America, in their core values. And yet they've taken their guns away. Now their police are being used to go into homes, take the kids away from the parents and force vaccinate them. Against the parents' will, against the kids' will. People can't stand up to them. They're actually putting people in internment camps that are refusing to get vaccinated. That's what happens when you give up your rights. They don't just stop at one right. They feel that they know what's best for you and they run your lives instead of protect your lives. That's why we need our Constitution. We need a sheriff that will protect it.
October 1st, you've been in the system. Where does the cover-up corruption happen if there is information that hasn't been exposed to the public?
Okay, well, I can't say there was corruption, like I said, because I wasn't there. But if there's corruption, it comes from the top level. I mean, there are some things that are very concerning about that shooting. One is that people were shot from different angles. There were different sounds of carbine, different weapons being fired at the same time. There were people hit from level ground. There were people under overhangs that were hit that couldn't have been hit from up above. There's just so much evidence to show that something else happened than what was reported. I can't argue it because, like I said, I wasn't there. I'm just hearing what people are saying. So what I would like to do as sheriff is reopen it, reinvestigate it, and quell the conspiracy theory cries. Let's get it out. If it was a truly Paddock that did it, then absolutely. Let's get out there and prove what happened. Because a lot of people that had phones that day that took pictures had to give up their phones and got them back completely erased. Why would you do that? We had reporting of the incident for 2 weeks. All of a sudden it stops dead in its tracks. I don't understand why it wasn't continued. Why did it just stop dead? Kind of like the Afghanistan thing with Biden, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. It was being reported, all the bad things that were happening. Boom, the last day of the month, no more reporting on it. People are dying every day trying to get out of Afghanistan. Private companies are going in there rescuing people that our government should be doing that. No media. Why is that? Suppression of the news. That should be unconstitutional. Suppression of it. There wouldn't be so many conspiracy theories if we get both sides of the argument out there. Whatever it is, let's get the information out there so the public can feel better about it.
I mean, you talk to people that are in the police force and that sort of thing, I mean, and citizens and potentially people that were there. What is the feedback you're getting on this topic?
90% of the feedback I'm getting is that there was something else that happened. A lot of people have heard that were there, heard different shots. They heard it come from different areas. They were running away from the shooting and yet were getting closer to other shooting. That kind of thing I'm getting told every day. Transparency is a leader's number one most credible thing that he can do, is being transparent.
It seems like every issue that we've talked about ultimately ends at the media not doing their job, not investigating.
Like you said before, media in the past had investigative reporters, people that went out and investigated and reported the truth. Now, I don't see that anymore. What I see now is they're given an agenda by the Soroses, by the Bill Gateses and the Zuckerbergs. They're given an agenda and told this is what you're going to say. There's no investigating anymore. You're just going to report what we want you to report. And that is 95% of the media. And people buy it. People believe it because they don't know any different. CNN is a big name. That's what I used to watch, CNN. I mean, I just thought it was news. When I want to watch news, I watch CNN. I don't even give it a second thought anymore. And I don't even give Fox News a second thought anymore other than a certain few commentators. There's no more investigating. People, they just go home, they're cooking dinner, they're listening to it. It's going in like a recording, they hear it, they believe it. COVID is bad, it's killing everybody. Don't go outside, wear a mask, get shots, get a second shot, get a booster, get another booster. That's all they hear, and they're terrified. You have to get outside that controlled media to really hear the truth.
Yeah, this is why we're doing this sort of thing here. Well, thank you so much for your time, Stan. Much respect to you for what you're doing. I think your message is resonating with people.
Well, thanks, Vem. I appreciate it. Please come out and vote on June 14th. It is so important. These down ballot races are extremely important. The ballot races such as City Council, State Assembly, County Commission, very important. The judges, we need good, independent judges that are not controlled by agendas. We need a sheriff that will protect our Constitution. This is a very important election. Research these candidates. And there's some excellent candidates out there, and they will defend your constitutional rights. Thank you for having me, Vem.